Okay, we're gonna try this again. I got kicked off, so I hopped on the Wi-Fi. I'm here to talk to you today. It's Wellness Wednesday, and I'm coming to you from my home. I'm supposed to be in flight, going to Charleston. My flight's in an hour, but I just canceled tickets. I was supposed to be going to Charleston with a bunch of girlfriends, but I'm not going because I got 2 sick kiddos at home. The RSV virus is going around, and my kids got it in a very untimely time. So, super bummed. It's okay. I can be sad for a little bit, and then we gotta move on because I want my kids to be healthy. All right. I'm here to talk to you today about what is scarier than sugar. So if you follow me over on Instagram, I just did kind of like a cute little reel about, well, what is scarier than sugar? And it's 20 seconds long. It's super long. But I want to have a conversation about sugar. And is it scary? Is there anything that's scarier than that? Because in our culture right now, we have shifted to sugar being life-threatening. I've heard people say it's evil. It's disease-causing. These really heavy ways to describe a nutrient. So if you just take a step back for a second and remove the harshness and just look at the science. So my breakfast this morning is actually Fruit Loops. And I'm eating it straight from the bag. This is what my kids just had for a snack, which is my breakfast. I'm not gonna chew and talk. So sugar is easy nomenclature for a food term called saccharides. Now, before you come at me with the actual definition, again, just take a step back and pretend you're reading like a textbook. Just say, well, what is it? So saccharides are in foods that contain a molecule of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. And put together, they make different saccharides. So you have monosaccharides, disaccharides, polysaccharides. That's what's found in a food that we eat. And that's how you can classify different types of saccharides, or another word is sugar. Now, there's different types of sugars, simple sugars, complex sugars, and there's so many different types of those. Actually, not true. There's 6 simple sugars. And the formal, funky names, you have glucose, fructose, galactose, then you have maltose, sucrose, and lactose. So those are going to be your simple sugars, and that's going to be in fruit, in dairy. This sugar in Fruit Loops, let's see what kind is in here, is actual sugar. I'm sure it's just sucrose, which sucrose is made up of glucose and fructose. So the food science of it, usually if you're reading your food label, I just read the food label, and you look on the ingredient part, anything ending in ose. There's nothing ended in ose, so sugar is typically from sugar cane or sugar beets, and that's typically sucrose, typically. I'm sure you could write Fruit Loops and ask, and they maybe would get back to you, maybe not. They used to have a phone number. Now I'm sure it's a website or an email. Okay, so we are privileged in the United States where if it is a food product mandated by the FDA, they have to put what's in the product, and then the FDA ensures that actually what is on the label, what's in the product. If you go buy vitamins or protein shakes or anything like that, those are not evaluated by the FDA. So they could put anything in there, label it, and if they're not subscribing or paying into an overseeing body that controls that, you don't really know what's in it. So this is where the wellness industry gets a lot of slack on supplements, can be sometimes hard to manage. Not the point of this. So sugar, what happened to where it got such a bad reputation? I was just watching a short clip of a documentary of a very well-known psychologist. Okay, so he's not even in the medical field, a psychologist deeming sugar and obesity the biggest threat to our western-sized humanity. And so part of me is thinking, all right, if sugar is so awful, is there something more scarier than sugar? And I'm here to propose that fear and the feeling of fear about sugar is actually scarier. If you look at what happens to the body in response to fear, you have a cascade of events that can happen. Hormonally, respiratory, heart rate, digestive system. When you are in a pure state of fear, think of something that would alarm reaction. And we have them actually all of the time. Some are eustress, I mean, it's very positive, it helps you to grow. Some is distress, where you have it more exposure long enough time, you now have chronic disease. So you have eustress, distress. Fear that can change behavior, changes your heart rate, changes your respiratory rate, changes your blood pressure. It actually changes the hormonal milieu in your body, where you actually don't need sugar because it's now creating sugar from the stored sugar in your body, increasing your blood sugar. So you can breathe faster, you can pump out the sugar to your muscles so you can run away from the fear or the threat, fight the threat, freeze, or fawn, pretend that you're dead. Now, this can happen in our society, not from running from a tiger, although that would be scary. Losing a job, losing a spouse, death. Maybe you were traumatized as a child, and then the trauma keeps being happened over and over again. Maybe you experience fear in your daily life because you're not safe from domestic abuse or sexual abuse. But now in diet culture, there is a fear reaction to food. The one thing that keeps us alive, one of the things. One of the mandatory substances that is meant to keep you alive, we have conditioned some parts of our culture to be afraid of. So imagine if I had a fear reaction to sugar. So you just pause and you stop, and I'm at someone's house or I don't have control of my food and I'm given a bowl of cereal to eat. Sugar is bad, sugar causes obesity, sugar causes death, I'm gonna be sick, I'm gonna be fat, all of these things that you say in your head in nanoseconds, what's happening in your body now is you're actually creating blood sugar from the stored sugar in your body. Your blood sugar is already up. You're already having an emotional reaction. And now your brain thinks, Fruit Loops, threat, don't eat. I'm a huge fan of the Hunger Games. I don't know if you guys watch the Hunger Games, but in my traveling this month, I rewatched them on the plane, or I tried to with 2 kids. And there's a part of, I forget which one, there's 4 movies. There's a part of it where they used fear to retrain Peeta's brain to actually not love Katniss anymore. And one of the quotes in the movie, which is one of my favorite quotes, is the only thing more powerful than fear is hope. So what I'm suggesting is, what if we put hope back into our food? What if we put joy and love and all of these things that can create a sense of safety back into our food, while still monitoring and making sure your food is safe and health producing? How would that shift your relationship to food and to your body? Instead of using fear, which is powerful, use hope and love and creativity and connection, because that is actually stronger than fear. It's harder and it takes more patience and it's more long lasting, which again, our society is very quick for gratification. Ugh. Instant gratification is so good. It's so yummy. But can you pause that and say, all right, what if I hope? What if I can put some love into the food that I'm eating? How can that change my reaction to my food? What if I can know that this Fruit Loops, these are Fruit Loops, they're going to serve my body in such a way to nourish my body and my brain as I'm navigating taking care of 2 kids, a puppy, navigating canceling traveling plans, navigating these things that it's a little stressful. Take a step back, take a deep breath, and know that this sugar is not gonna hurt me. It's actually going to fuel me. And then being mindful the rest of the day to make sure I'm getting all my nutrition, all my nutrients, which comes from planning. So there's a lot of steps. Comes from planning, comes from being aware. But the first step I want you to be aware of is the fear that you're either putting into your food, your body, the people that you're parenting, the people that you're counseling. That fear is going to hurt more than help. That fear is going to cause more damage, more disease, more destruction than sugar ever could. Why is this sideways? Sorry. I'm like leaning like this. Try that today. Try having hope into your food. This might feel a little like, what the heck is she talking about? But they're connected. Your food and your feelings are connected, whether you want them to be or not. You're not a robot. You're a wise, beautiful human that deserves space to have your story being witnessed. And I'd love to be a part of that if you're trying to navigate that at all. Thank you for watching. I hope this serves you. I hear crying. I'm going to go. Have a wonderful Wednesday. Bye.